Goodbye, my half-brother.
Goodbye. How's it going, everyone? Doc here with Eyes Wide Shot Gaming, and in today's video, we're going to go over what was implemented in this giant update within HellDivers 2. Don't forget to like, comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe. We are well on our way to 1,000 subscribers. Join us today to be on top of all HellDiver 2 news, updates, breakdowns, and more, as well as many other games. So we skipped over April Fools and got a giant update the next day. I want to go ahead and clarify that Arrowhead Game Studios has released yet another, I say again, yet another update and implemented an absolute dropship full of things while the game is still in its infancy, being under 2 months old. Most games by this point see a drop off in player base, but we are growing every single day. Alright, so I digress. Let's get down to the update. HellDivers 2 Update 01.000.200 patch. We are looking into seeing new Planetary hazard additions, so both blizzards and sandstorms have been added. To all you polar bears out there, and Dune Bros, these two will make you feel right at home. Aside from gameplay, we see a huge patch into balancing. For the Retrieve Essential Personnel missions, we have the enemy spawn points move further away from the objective, giving us some breathing space, or as the devs said, a fairer chance of defending the location. I can't say we have had any issues, but this is welcome nonetheless. On top of it all, there will be fewer civilians required to complete the mission the higher up we go in difficulties. For the Destroy Command bunkers, we have to go and run to more objective locations now. The devs give and they take, for they believe the mission was too easy. Luckily, this will only occur starting from difficulty 5 and up. We also get half the negative effects of operation modifiers that increase stratagem cooldowns or cool-in times. This just lets us start up and jump into the fight with our stratagems faster. Absolutely a fantastic piece of news. Aside from mission balancing, we see some primary, secondary, and support weapon balancing as well. Let's take a dive and run down the list of what we will be going through. Our arc thrower has had its charging inconsistencies fixed. It will always take 1 second to charge a shot. So now, your teammates have that 1 second grace period before getting zapped in the back. We also see a reduction in the distance of the arc from 50 meters to 35 meters, but in return, we get an increase to our stagger force. For the guard dog stratagem, it now fully restores its ammo from supply boxes. Great, now we won't see lasers riddle the field like it's a 2004 rave party. Our anti-material rifles receive a very, very thankful damage increase by 30%. Considering how utterly useless this stratagem felt, this buff is amazing. Breaker Incendiary has seen an increase to damage per bullet from 15 per bullet to 20 per bullet. Fire damage has been increased by 50% per tick from all sources, so now we have to really be wary around the orbital laser. The Liberator Penetrator now has a full auto mode, and I feel like this will be a go-to weapon for many HellDivers when they inevitably nerf the LAS-16 sickle. The Dominator has its damage increase from 200 to 300, as well as its stagger. Not the most useful weapon, but perhaps this buff will help it rotate amongst the community a bit more. For the Diligence Counter Sniper, it now has armor penetration increased from light to medium, which makes sense since it's a sniper. Now we drop down to the Slugger, a solid shotgun, but sadly its stagger was reduced, as well as its demolition force, not to mention its damage being reduced from 280 to 250. Fantastic. The recoilless rifle receives an increase to the number of rockets you restore from supply boxes, going up by 1 count to 3 rockets per supply box, as does the spear with its missile restoration going from 1 to 2. Our heavy machine gun gets its fire rate mode reduced from 1200 RPM to a more moderate, as they said, 950 RPM, something I can openly disagree with and say we need its recoil to be fixed, not its RPM, but I'm no developer. We move on over to the stratagems. and receive a solid buff to our Cardboard Patriot exosuit and their rockets, which will now penetrate armor only on direct hits though. This is all a huge update, but we're not done yet. We aren't the only ones that'll experience change. The enemies have had a balancing adjustment as well. The Charger's normal melee attack now does less damage against exosuits. Doubt that will change the walking bomb we call an exosuit, but it is what it is. The Bile Spewer and Nursing Spewer do less damage with their vomit. Great, but the issue isn't the damage, but how it goes through walls. Hopefully that's next on their list to fix. The Bile Titan can no longer be stunned by our stun grenades or anything else. I can see that, considering it's so high in the air. And finally, for the enemies, Shriekers no longer create bug breaches. Thank God. And they do significantly less damage when their dead, limp body slams into you from the sky. Aside from the enemies receiving changes to their damage and so forth, we also see a balancing adjustment to the heavy and medium armor, which will now protect you better and let you take about 10% less damage than before with the heavy and 5% with the medium armor. The Fortified Commando and light armor is unchanged, so keep that in mind. Our Hellpod steering system has been improved, as well as the ballistic shield, with its collision mesh being increased and its pose being changed to leave us a little less exposed during third and first person. I'll leave a link to all this info from IGN in the description down below. I know it's IGN, but it's just info, not gameplay, so don't worry. Like I said, a wildly vast amount of things in this update. No new warbond, no new weapons or gear. But nonetheless, we are happy to see this. What many people also might have noticed is we have gotten a level cap increase from 50 all the way to 150. 100 more levels of grinding out Terminids and automatons. Luckily though, we have gotten some levels carried over. So if you kept playing after hitting level 50, then you might be closer to that 150 mark than others. I myself logged on to see level 88, which is much better than 69 since you get 8 twice. Level cap, balancing, and buffs aside, we also have reports of people seeing a new giant automaton AT-AT looking enemy. Yes, it looks frightening, and yes, it will snuff you out from miles away. Keep your heads low and your barrels hot, HellDivers. Once again, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and until next time, so long.